Okay, convicted felon President Donald Trump is having major dementia relapses. He's always bringing out his greatest hits. And one of the things that he's most confused about is the difference between an insane asylum and those seeking asylum. And he went off about Hannibal Lecter just again yesterday. Play the clip.
Number of deportations. We're bringing criminals out by the thousands. Nobody can even imagine. They let people in that were murderers. 11,888 murderers, gang members, people from mental institutions, and insane asylum. You know what that is? That's insane asylum. That's a mental institution on steroids. During the campaign, I talk about the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Do you know who that is, Hannibal Lecter? Silence of the Lambs. I'd talk about it, and the fake news would go crazy. Why does he keep mentioning? Well, because we won in a landslide. That's why they don't want to have Hannibal in our midst. And today I signed this bill.
Okay, this makes no sense. From start to finish, this is what psychiatrists call the flight of ideas. And of course, the news spoke about the candidate for the president of the United States, a former president of the United States, bringing up a fictional character as though he were real and lended credibility to immigration policy. That is insane. And the fact that he's still doing this and it has just washed down the political cycle. And you had CNN that spent an obscene amount of time talking about Joe Biden. And Trump does this all day, every day with impunity, and is authorizing planes to fly to Iran to bomb them. And the media's part in this coup of the United States government is just unforgivable. It is absolutely unforgivable. But here he goes again, completely lying and gaslighting the American public about his big, ugly bill.
And also cut costs. We're cutting $1.7 trillion in this bill, and you're not going to feel any of it. And your Medicaid is left alone. It's left the same. Your Medicare and your Social Security are strengthened. We're not cutting. The Democrats are going to destroy all three of them because it's not sustainable. They'll end up cutting your Medicare, Medicaid in half.
Okay. Every single thing he said from start to finish is a total lie. His big, ugly bill is going to cut all of the following things: Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, Social Security. And the Republicans have had a hard on to do this for decades. Now they just have an administration that is sociopathic and psychopathic enough to do it. And it's amazing how indoctrinated so many in the American public are, that when they hear a candidate speak out for wage equality, that they get angry about that. Think about that. With the mayoral race in New York, you have a candidate that speaks out about wage equality and raising the minimum wage and better access to transportation. And you have millions of working class Americans that get mad about that because they would rather curry favor with billionaires. So it's just utterly insane. This big, ugly bill is wildly unpopular. But another thing that Trump does that he rarely gets called out on in corporate media is he Jewish signals. He signals to Jewish people as though he is going to be a protector of them and that he has Jewish interests at heart. And there's no question that he has Benjamin Netanyahu's government at heart, and he wants Benjamin Netanyahu to get a complete pass on his upcoming trial. But you need to remember that inside the MAGA party, Trump defended the Nazis that marched at Charleston. Trump's boat parades in Florida, they have Nazi flags. The January 6th insurrection, all sorts of Nazi and Holocaust references. And most importantly, he pardoned a violent criminal that wore a t-shirt that said Camp Auschwitz on it. Camp Auschwitz, where millions of Jewish people were burned and denied due process and sentenced to a cruel and wicked death because of a fascist authoritarian regime. And Trump thinks that, I guess, we're all so stupid that he can come out and act like he is this big protector of Jews and that the Republican Party is a safe place for Jewish people. Meanwhile, it is a hotbed of anti-Semitism from top to bottom, and he pardons a violent criminal that makes light of Auschwitz. And here he is trying to Jewish signal and demean Chuck Schumer, who is not my favorite senator, but nonetheless, this is not the way a president should speak about the first Jewish leader in the Senate. Play the clip.
Meaning, and they don't want to change. I see it the other day. Guys like Schumer, our great Palestinian senator, this guy, no, he's changed. He used to like Jewish people. Now he's totally against Jewish people. It's the most incredible transformation I think I've ever seen. But who would allow this to happen? In other sports, the same thing. Try the weightlifting numbers someday. You want to see some big differences. In a million years, the women will never catch these numbers. It's not going to happen. And it's very demeaning to women. And I don't like it when it's demeaning to women. So we're turning the country around fast. We love you all. Thank you very much.
Okay. Several things. What I spoke about the hypocrisy about Jewish Americans and how demeaning he is to them when he constantly surrounds himself with anti-Semites and he refuses to speak out against anti-Semitism, which his party and his movement is a hotbed of anti-Semitism. But in that speech right there, you see a clearly cognitively declined president of the United States that is talking about trans issues, which is their number one go-to. Those 7 trans athletes in the NCAA, that's what the Republican Party and the MAGA Party loves to hate on. But he goes from trans issues to Chuck Schumer, then back to weightlifting. He can't even spit out a clear thought track because he only has his greatest hits of grievances that hit hard on low testosterone Twitter. They like this stuff. They like to pretend like they are protectors of women. Trump said, "Oh, I hate to demean women." He demeans every female journalist that ever stands in front of him. The way he treated Megyn Kelly, who I despise, was just despicable. The way he treated Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton was just despicable. The way he speaks about his own daughter, like she's some sexual creature that he wants to jump her bones if she wasn't his daughter. This is just breathtaking hypocrisy that, again, just gets slipped down the media cycle. Nobody says anything about it. And corporate media just jumps into this presidency as though this man is sane. And so now he has all of these presidential problems. And we're going to talk about how he's going to govern. When the problem is, this man is, number one, a dipshit. Number two, willfully uninformed, completely uninterested in being informed on policy and diplomacy. And number three, completely bought, purchased, paid for everybody else's interests except for the United States of America's interest. He's way more into Benjamin Netanyahu's interests, Vladimir Putin's interests, Saudi Arabia's interests. He would much rather sell immigration cards to rich people than help the working class of immigrants in the United States that pay billions of dollars in taxpayer money, and they can't even access the programs in which their money and their earnings are paid into. Meanwhile, Bill Ackman, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they pay nothing in taxes, absolutely nothing. All right, moving along. No surprise here. The Trump economy is completely tanking. Put this up. Stephen Ratner reports that the first quarter GDP growth was revised down to minus 0.5%, a stark drop from the previous quarter's 2.4%. And you can look at this chart here and look at the previous quarters of growth that we had under Joe Biden. And again, Democratic economies always grow. Republican economies always recede because Republican economies only favor the 1%. Republican economies further add loads and loads of debt because they give the billionaires a pass, and then they're going to come in and cut all of these programs that actually help the working class people that fund the billionaires. But the billionaires get handouts left and right. They get them from the federal government, and then they don't pay their employees a livable wage. And then people like Trump and all the evangelical Christians, then they demean and browbeat these working class people and call them lazy and call them parasites. And make no mistake about it, the biggest parasite in the world right now is Donald Trump and all of the bubble ticks, billionaire bubble ticks surrounding him that just suck off the working class. All right, next up, we have Pete Hegseth melting down to a journalist. And if you've ever been around a defensive alcoholic, you know exactly what it is. Watch this clip.
Take half truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful.
Okay, so this is a whole thing where the Iran strike, Trump comes out and says, we obliterated everything, we won. And what's important in democracies and in military strikes is accuracy and facts. What is not important to Donald Trump and MAGA are accuracy and facts. This guy always goes out to the microphone, blowhards, never has the facts. And then we play the semantics game. And so he's surrounded by unserious people that have very serious jobs that get out every single day and lie. He attacked Pete Hegseth, a female journalist, and she reported 100% accurately that these strikes didn't really do much. But then they want to blame the media and say, you're not supporting the troops. You don't support the pilots. And it's just all this semantic bullshit. All right, next up, we have screenshots here of Trump going bananas over the media. So you just heard Pete Hegseth going crazy about the media. Trump, in a 12-hour period, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 titty baby tweets of a man that I guess it never occurred to him. If you're president of the United States of America, the media is going to talk about you a lot, pretty much all day, every day, especially on news cycles. And so the media is covering him, and he is such a titty baby, he can't stand it. And what I have to say to all of the defenders of him is this is one of the easiest things on the planet. If you're going to run for the big chair and you want to sit in the Oval, you've got to have thick skin, because other countries are going to want to say, hey, we want to kill the American president, death to America. You have to have super thick skin. And the media is going to report on you. Some of it spins, some of it lies, some of it true. And it's going to happen all day, every day. I've never seen an American president on the right or the left, and the right ones always do kind of bitch about the media some. This man, it is a non-stop grievance parade over the media, but this is all intentional. He is trying to prime his base not to listen to facts, and he's been doing it for 10 years, and it works because a lot of people in Trump's orbit and the triple Trumpers that support him just completely let him off the hook for lying because they've been indoctrinated by him into his personality cult to not believe facts. All right. And then lastly, we have Trump with his duplicity. Put this up. Donald Trump, the Democrats are the ones who leaked the information on the perfect flight to the nuclear site in Iran. They should be prosecuted. All right. Turnbull retweets this comment, and he says, weird accusation considering the White House was bragging last week that they hadn't briefed Democrats, but cool story. So this reminds me of the Ukraine phone call, which he then started calling the perfect phone call. So you always know when Trump really defends something vociferously that it's a lie, and he got caught in a lie. And he likes to go down this rabbit hole because he only cares about his ego. He could give two shits about the American public. He could give two shits about American interests. All he cares about is people praising him. And I have news for him. The president of the United States is rarely praised. It is just something that rarely happens. And you might have a minority of people over here that do, a minority of people over there that do, but it is a big job for big boys. So he needs to buckle up because the economic populist message is coming from the Democratic Party. We all need to stay engaged. Please subscribe to our channel, buy our book. The link is in the bio, and we'll see you all later.